And we're live, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Welcome. Welcome to the imho.love show. In my humble opinion, .love, because that's what it's all about, baby. That's where it begins. That's where it ends, with the love. So we're just filling in some time in the middle. Welcome aboard. imho.love. In my humble opinion, .love. And I'm Lou Angelwolf. That's Mike Murburg. Yeah, that's a big effort right off the top.
Yeah, I give it my best shot.
Yeah. Well, Mike, you and I are experiencing some very similar things in our lives. Some very different things, too. But I notice the level of our busyness, not necessarily our business, but our busyness is imploding. You got, my beautiful sister took me to lunch today, and I wanted to go in and enjoy the time with her and her friend Martin, and my phone wouldn't shut up, man. I mean, I got 5 texts in a row that people needed information right now. So anyway, it was fine. It worked out okay. It was very frustrating, and
my life is different. I'm just getting phone messages that were left for me last week. I'm finally getting around to picking them up off my iPhone.
Oh, okay.
I turned the thing off and forget I turned it off.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any difference anyhow. Everything happens and it all gets squared away.
If I can't go more than a day or so, and I have so many people that. It's funny how some of your text friends are just like, dude, I texted you 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, you have no idea what my day consists of, Like I'm milling about, just go, oh, look, Chester paged me.
I just can't wait for my next text to come in. They're so infrequent. When will they ever contact me?
Yes. Oh, how's Chester? How is your goldfish? Is it still ailing? But anyway... welcome, folks. The show is about close encounters of the fifth kind, also known as human-initiated contact experiences. We have an event coming up this weekend here at the Darby Ranch in beautiful Darby, Florida. This is Area 52. This is a blessed space. What you see behind us here is the art studio here. A very, very intricate and wonderful art studio, full of things to look at, full of imagination triggers, and full of stuff. So you don't need any more stuff, Mike.
Yeah, I know.
You got stuff.
Yeah. There was an acquisition phase in life.
Yes, true. I know. Yes.
Yeah, I passed that.
And you did good.
Yeah.
You did good.
I got enough stuff.
And Mike's one of those guys that's like, hey, dude, do you have a motorcycle helmet? I have 9.
What kind would you like? Any size in particular? Style? Doesn't really matter.
But the studio is an absolute gourmet space. We've been waiting to come up here. We've been up here a few months now, and we finally got the internet dialed in, and everything seems to be firing on all cylinders. Very happy, very blessed to be with you all. I can't really tell you how much it means to me to know that you all tune in. I have so many friends that listen to the show, and I love you all. I really, really do. And it's the thing that makes us keep doing it, So this particular week, the thing I noticed was, now, did anybody confirm that the sitting president didn't mention Normandy or anything?
Yeah, he didn't mention it.
Is that true?
From what I understand, it is.
Okay.
He didn't mention
I
it
did not
publicly.
have time to research the headline.
And he didn't call me to tell me either. The bum.
Yeah, so for us not to, that was the linchpin of the Second World War. That was the thing that changed everything.
Yeah.
And for it not to be mentioned. But here's the other thing, too. That narrative is old. And that narrative that we've been presented all these years certainly has some flaws in it. So
Yeah, but it doesn't take away from the heroism of the 18-year-old, 19-year-old boys that hit the beachhead and had their brains shot out, and those who jumped into the water, it was 10 feet too deep for them and drowned right off the boat. Those who opened up the floodgate to get out and land on the beach, you got mowed down by, German 50 caliber machine guns as soon as they opened up the gate. No, it doesn't negate that kind of heroism. And there was a war that could have been avoided, and the reason we got so deeply in it was because our politicians, the statement, didn't have the guts to do what they should have done at the very beginning.
yes, well, that's exactly true, or that's the narrative you can comment on, or it was paid for all the way down the line. It was supposed to be that way from the beginning because that's the way it was orchestrated.
Yeah.
All these guys, all these world leaders, they have Stratego at home. They have Battleship at home, and they have the deluxe collector's editions of each. So,
And they're all playing Monopoly on the side.
they're all playing Monopoly with your money. So, anyway, folks, the other thing that Mike brought up to me, seeing as it was just Veterans Day last week, and Mike and I did get to go out and visit those near and dear to us, my dad and his son. A very beautiful.
And that was a deja vu experience for you, and it was sort of a deja vu experience for me as well.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's in retrospect.
Yeah, give me a line on that.
No, it's back in the deep annals of my gray matter somewhere. I remember walking off a graveyard with you.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
That was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and I definitely had a deja vu with you as well. Looking for my dad's gravesite, I asked you which way the numbers were running, and that happened again, with all familiarity.
Which brings us back to last week. We discussed the space-time continuum, and I said it was if you picture it as a solid.
Yes.
Okay, and this week, and what I'm doing is I've gone back to my translation. I call it a translation, my distillation of the Wahoo Ching, and I'm posting it on the IMHO website.
Yes, beautiful.
And I'm doing it daily. It'll be 81 distillations, but in this past week, in installment number 5, Wahoo Ching number 5. Of course, I just lost it. It brings up the whole issue of. Let me bring it up here.
Those writings, those Wahoo Ching writings are they are the backbone of the Tao, and all structural information comes from there.
Right. Yeah. If the Tao Te Ching is too anecdotal or I'm searching for the word, but if it's something that's not your forte and it's difficult for you to understand, I recommend the Wahoo Ching first. But this is this is the part of the Wahoo Ching where Lao Tzu is going into what becoming an integral being is, and a universal integral being. And he says that it is a universal integral being. It is as a universal integral being then that one may more easily recognize the unity of oneself with the Tao, that subtle, unnameable mother from which one's own origin and the origin of all has sprung forth. In this connection between mind and source lies the multi-universe. He called it the multi-universe.
Wow.
Where time, the past, the present, and the future do not exist as we traditionally think of them. All are simultaneously connected in an ever-present continuum. So that's how he puts it. It's not my look at it like a solid.
Right. Yeah. Well, as you were reading it, I was having these visions of frequencies. The ones that we love are smooth and radiant, and comforting, okay? But there are so many vibrations in this multiverse. There are vibrations that we probably can't even endure in our humanity, in our human spirit capacity. Only when you become pure spirit, when you shed this meat bag you're living in and you can travel freely, all these new things are going to be revealed to you. I've had so many friends die over the last couple of years, and I'm not going to list them. I've mentioned them all on the show, and many more that I never did get to mention. And a lot of people are, oh, so sad, Carl LeBeau died, oh, that poor bastard, oh, Mitchell Walters died, oh, Dave Kinney, he's gone now. You know what, man? Those guys made it. They made it to the next level, the next vibration. Whatever that was for them, it was the next vibration. Now, like a classic example, and you don't even know the frequencies and the vibrations that are available to you. If you don't know who Mitchell Walters was, he was a very, very funny comedian. He has a limited amount of stuff out there on YouTube and some other formats. But Mitchell was a really, really sharp guy and incredible numbers guy. And he was a bookie and he was all kinds of things. But the one thing that he was intense. And he had a capacity of knowledge, vibration, numbers, like few people I've ever known. But he was also a very abusive guy. He did cocaine for 60, 50 years of his life to excess. And various other things as well. And he ate horribly and this and that and the other. Well, he wore his vessel out and his spirit went to endure forever. And a lot of people going, oh man, if he'd have lost 100 pounds, oh man, if he'd have quit doing the blow, oh man, if whatever. You know what? The guy made it a long way, and he affected a lot of people, and he presented you with almost like a mystical love that few people were carrying around with them. He was hard on you. You know, if he was your friend, he died owing you any multiple of $80. He only owed me 80. He actually owed me 160 once and paid me back 80, so it was 80.
So you could borrow another 80 at some
So you could borrow. No, that might help. And you know what? To have that story is so worth $80. But what I'm saying is the vibration that he's dealing with now is probably something he was longing for all those years of addiction, all those years of self-distress. And my hat's off to you, brother. Enjoy your time over there. Who knows how long it's going to be till you come back here or go somewhere else, or maybe you're done, or maybe you can move up to the next dimension, or however it goes. My blessings are with you. Because down here, where Mike and I and all of us are currently, it's quite confusing. We don't even know who to believe anymore, including ourselves. The information that's being dispersed to us is so fragmented, so broken, so agendized that it's dizzying. But there is something still inside of you that lets you know when you're hearing the truth, lets you know when you're dealing with a reality, lets you know when you're dealing with incredible energies. So, oh, you know what I forgot to do, Mike? I forgot to plug the mic in. What was the next thing?
The next thing was plug in the mic.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
It's all fully charged up, I can tell you that. Hopefully the people see,
Well, we might not have even needed it. So.
Yeah, it's going to be echoey, though, first half. There we go.
It's no longer echoey.
We're still on. Hey, thank you. Hi, Debbie. Hi, John.
I told you, it's like the Mickey Mouse Club.
Yeah, you know what it was is the mic was lit up. I didn't make the transfer into the camera phone. So anyway, what you're experiencing now, especially on televised news, you're getting a fragmented, melted down, sanitized, agendized piece of whatever. It's what they want you to hear. They really don't want you up in arms. They really don't want you to throw your hands up and say, "What's going on?" They don't want that. And that's the way they present it, in a format that will get them non-confrontational news consumption. So, but whoever controls the news controls the country. William Randolph Hearst knew this well. Even though he was never in a political office, he had more power than any politician that ever put on Oxford's had. His ability to control the news and have it flow within his direction, and then have it flow to whoever was paying him to present such information, as dastardly as American capitalism gets, to be honest with you. Withholding the truth, withholding dangerous information, withholding life-changing ideas and
well, what's changed? What's changed?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It hasn't. And what's happened is, and even back then, okay, you know, we had the big spinning newspaper headlines, and all we read was those 8, 10, 12 words on a headline. And that really is, they have seduced us down to that. That's why I asked you before, when they talked about Biden not mentioning Normandy, did anybody check that fact? Because they do, both sides throw out fragmented headlines just to point your head for just a minute. Just to make you go, I hate that. I don't like it when they do that. But you brought something up the other day, and Mike, I don't like to read things verbatim on the show, but this reduction is absolutely perfect. Mike pointed out to me we're having dinner at one of our favorite places, and he said, well, you know, the anniversary of the USS Liberty is coming up. And he said, you're familiar with that? And I went, I heard of it, but I was unfamiliar with it. Well, instead of talking all about it, I'm just going to read you this really well put together reduction. On June 8, 1967, while patrolling the international waters in the eastern Mediterranean, the USS Liberty was savagely attacked without warning or justification by air and naval forces of the State of Israel. Of a crew of 294 officers and men, including 3 civilians, the ship suffered 34 killed in action and 173 wounded in action. The ship itself, a $40 million state-of-the-art signals intelligence platform, was so badly damaged that it never sailed on an operational mission again, and was sold in 1970 for $101,666.66 as scrap. Enough sixes in that number for you? Any symbolism, anything jumping out at anybody? I'm just saying, play the home game. At 1400 hours, while approximately 17 nautical miles off the northern Sinai coast and about 25 nautical miles northwest of Al Arish, the USS Liberty's crew observed 3 surface radar contacts closing with their position at high speed. A few moments later, a bridge crew observed a high-speed aircraft passing over the surface returns on the same heading. Within a few moments, and without any warning, Israeli fighter aircraft rockets launched a rocket attack on the USS Liberty. The aircraft made repeated firing passes, attacking the USS Liberty with rockets and their internal cannon. At the first sight of the fighter aircraft, they had exhausted their ordnance. Subsequent flights of Israeli fighter aircraft continued to prosecute the attack with rockets, cannon fire, and napalm. During the attack, the USS Liberty's crew had difficulty contacting the 6th Fleet to request assistance due to intense communications jamming. Must have been Mercury in retrograde.
Okay.
The initial targets on the ship were from the command bridge, the communication antennas, and the 4 50 caliber machine guns placed on the ship to repel boarders. After the Israeli fighter aircraft completed their attacks, 3 Israeli torpedo boats arrived and began a surface attack about 35 minutes after the start of the air attack. The torpedo boats launched a total of 5 torpedoes, one which struck the side of the Liberty opposite the ship's research spaces. 25 Americans, in addition to the 9 who had been killed in the earlier air attacks, were killed as the result of this explosion. The Sixth Fleet abandons the USS Liberty under fire, and the Department of Defense approves their action. The DoD of War Programs, formerly the DoD Directive, provides that all reportable incidents committed by or against U.S. personnel, enemy persons, or any other individual are reported promptly, investigated thoroughly, and, where appropriate, remedied by corrective action. On June 8th, 2005, the USS Liberty Veterans Association submitted a report of war crimes committed against the Liberty in June 8th, 1967. And the War Crimes Report filed the allegations of the jamming of our radios on both U.S. Navy tactical and international maritime distress frequencies, the use of unmarked aircraft by forces attacking the Liberty, the deliberate machine gunning of life rafts which had dropped to the side of the anticipation of abandoning ship, the recall of 2 flights of the rescue aircraft that had been launched from the Sixth Fleet aircraft carriers. After those flights were recalled, Sixth Fleet personnel listened to our calls for help as the attack continued, knowing they were forbidden to come to our assistance. The DoD was unilaterally waived its obligation on the defensive war program by refusing to investigate the allegations contained in the War Crimes Report. The Department of Defense has also refused to provide a speaker to address the crew of the USS Liberty and explain their actions with regard to the War Crimes Report. Now, Mike, you have studied this a little further than me, and thank you for putting up with my staged reading. The reality of it was Israel wanted to attack the United States undercover. Now, the planes were like camouflaged, right?
Right. They wanted to make it look like it was an attack by Egypt to bring the United States into the war and into conflict with Egypt on the side of Israel. And as what you didn't read, was not in there, that the lead airplane, Israeli jet that was attacking, said, "Sir, there's an American flag. We're about to attack an American ship. Do you know that?" And the reply was, "Attack anyway."
Wow.
Yeah, and that's the war crime. And they're, John McCain's dad was involved in this cover-up.
Okay.
And it's one of the war crimes cover-ups that you can't talk about because it was suppressed right off the bat.
Right.
And we're in a time where we had the Gulf of Tonkin resolution coming around. We had all this stuff going on with the military and all the lies and falsehoods that were being put forth or covered up. So America never got the truth.
Okay.
So
that was Admiral Morrison, right?
Was it Morrison? I forget. It was either McCain
Yeah.
or Morrison. But
no, McCain was there too. McCain's dad was there too. But Admiral Morrison, who, those of you, all the hipsters that watch the show, that was Jim Morrison's dad. And there's a really great book, Weird Scenes Inside Laurel Canyon. If you ever get a chance to read that, I think the guy's author's name is McGuire. Jim Morrison came out of nowhere, man. He showed up with this book full of songs and this attitude. He wasn't in bands all of his life. He just showed up into the scene in Laurel Canyon and became a rock star I don't know whether it was, because he was kind of a dorky kid from the University of Florida. That video's out there.
I think it was Florida State. Matter of fact,
I think it was a Gator. No, it was a Gator.
His roommate was the judge who sat on the Terry Schiavo case. I've forgotten his name, but he was a good guy. And he was like, there was he had a strange life, but needless to, it's a small world. You're only one handshake removed from Jim Morrison here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Morrison, many believe his death was faked. He supposedly choked on his own vomit in a Parisian bathtub. He could have just skipped on down the road and lived his life somewhere else.
Yeah, kind of like Jimi Hendrix.
Maybe Hendrix did the same thing.
Yeah, some people say he's Morgan Freeman.
Yeah,
and what does Morgan Freeman do for pastime? He plays blues at his on the guitar in his bar in Memphis.
That's funny.
I don't know, man.
That's funny.
It's the truth is stranger than fiction. Don't rule it out.
Yeah, the hands are different though. I've looked at both of their hands.
Okay.
It's really hard to do corrective hand surgery.
Yeah.
But ladies and gentlemen, what we said all that to say this: if you're confused, if you're flustered, if you don't understand what's going on in the world, hey, have a seat. There's plenty of chairs up here in the studio. Because we don't know either. We've pretty much assumed that anything that's on, regular broadcast TV, even Fox, that's for the conservative people. Well, not Fox. Well, of course Fox. And Newsmax. And it was interesting. Mike and I both agree that this vaccination thing is probably one of the largest propagated events ever in history.
Yeah.
The jab, I guess the V world triggers something. And probably the jab does too by now. Jeez. Anyway, I watched Donald Trump the other night on TV, and he was talking a lot of the same rhetoric that he has, and yes, he has some very valid points about the ballot counts and all that other stuff that went on during that time, but railed for the vaccine for about 10 minutes. And he's got to know, man. This thing has taken on an evil head of its own, and 99.7% of the people that got this theoretical virus, they were down for a week, just like the flu. Yeah, some people died. Yeah, well, people die from the flu every year. The numbers are not unusual.
The numbers have been cooked all along. There was one county in California this past week that stopped counting deaths where there was comorbidity with COVID, and they found that the death count decreased by 400. So it's the numbers have been fudged all along. So somebody's asked me, well, show me the statistics, and I'll say, and I just read an article this past week basically saying, researching this, basically saying there's really no good way to to find out what the numbers are. And
right.
This is not a right-wing site this is like a regular Google site, so it's already been past the Google testing as far as, can we give this to the public or not?
It's been run through that cheesecloth.
Right, exactly. So, that's just the way it is.
So you have this huge manipulation of language and statistics, that's what this show's about. We're trying to keep everybody not necessarily going down the middle of the road, but staying on that path that you're comfortable with. I am thoroughly amazed at everything that's been going on for the last year and a half. It's been personally tormenting. I have not been the same person several times. My personality's gone through quite a metamorphosis. I'm still the same, way down deep, but the outer layers, there was many months of denial, many months of fear, many months of misunderstanding, and And when you're a mature male, and if you really know inside your own heart and inside your own brain that you don't know what the hell's going on, that's a real whack in the ego for you, because to me that's always been kind of I always kind of knew the score about what was happening, about everything in my life. But this current movement forward, or whatever it is, or just motion in general, I don't even know if it's forward, we're all confused, man. This is the biggest psyop that's ever landed on planet Earth.
You know, boggles my mind is that that the people that are hawking and accepting the vaccine, saying, "Oh," and they're posting on Facebook, "I took the vaccine. I took the vaccine." They are accepting the status quo from Big Pharma and the government, but at the same time, they're taking as truth what they're being given from the people that lied about the Gulf of Tonkin. They lied about the USS Liberty. They covered it up. They have prevented disclosure from happening. So all of a sudden, this is a government that we're supposed to trust.
Yeah.
With Big Pharma that is in it for profit, and in order to get the shot, you have to waive all liability.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, whatever happened to your ability to discriminate about truth and fiction and be discerning about your actions based on reliable facts out there?
Well,
at what point in time did fear overcome you so that the love that you have to feel and know was blinded to the truth that you already know is fact?
There you go. That's strong, man. Well, and the thing of it is, Mike, one that has been seduced myself by this snake charmer that lights up our living room. It's been going since the Warren Commission, Vietnam in general.
The execution of LBJ. I mean, for Christ's sakes, who do you think is pulling the goddamn trigger?
Yep. So, and then you have all these foreign wars, all the, Desert Storm, and all these theaters.
Yeah, let's involve aboard Africa because they got yellow cake. It's like, man, thank God they got some kind of cake because like people starving.
They got yellow cake. So I think what's happening, and it's happened to me, to the point of a frayed end. I don't even know where to turn at this point. I do study some alternative news sources which kind of keep me focused. The Corbett Report is really an excellent source. James Corbett, the brilliant reporter, as fair and equally minded as anyone I know, and the research that you can do on your various news sources, and you go to the left and you go to the right. Watch some CNN, then watch some Newsmax, watch MSNBC, and then read Gateway Pundit. There's this crazy seesaw thing where it's up and it's down and it's up, and then when you get into the middle, there's this like mush where nobody's really saying anything, and it's not a value of being right or being wrong. I don't even care about that part. I just kind of want, if I could trust the worst news, that'd be fine. If I could trust the best news, that'd be fine. I think it's the trust issue that I'm having in general in life. So that being said, we come on this show almost every week and we share our hearts and our mindsets with you. We do try to, we'll tell you some ugly facts and some stuff that you may not really want to hear. But what that does, it sets a margin for you. But what we also try to do on imho.love is set a margin back the other way. It's just so beautiful to know that regardless of all this lower din, of all this lower vibration, these harsh frequencies, these things that you don't understand, partially is because you're not supposed to understand them. You've already risen above that level of communication. And when you rise above that level of communication, you will stop being depressed. You'll stop being challenged. You'll stop being victimized by everything that runs across you. It does take a level of personal dismissal. It takes a high level of personal love. And you really do have to respect yourself and those around you as you clean out that dross, as you get rid of those that distrust, that just that it's kind of an ugliness. It's kind of a but it comes with everything down here. Now, when you start to rise up a little bit and realize, I'm really part of this great, big, wonderful oneness, this everything under the sun, the sunshine, the birds, the dolphins, the water, the air, the sand, the dirt, whatever, the soil, the moose.
The moose poop.
Whatever.
The moose poop.
Wherever you jump in that link, and you're supposed to be here. You're here by absolute divine appointment. When you left, I don't know, wherever we came from.
Tralfamadore.
What did you say?
Tralfamadore.
Tralfamadore?
Yeah. It's,
is that a
yeah, the Slaughterhouse
thing?
Slaughterhouse 5.
Oh, Slaughterhouse 5. Oh,
Yes.
yeah, wow. Okay.
Yeah, that's where Billy Pilgrim ends up with Valerie Perrine for eternity. And you realize that eternity is like now, and it's that's a whole nother great book on the continuum of space-time and
Slaughterhouse 5, Kurt Vonnegut.
Yeah, and how did Billy Pilgrim know that his life was going to end by that in a theater being shot by a malcontent
those damn malcontents that shoot you in the theater.
Yeah, it's just I love the movie, I love the book. So,
cool, yeah.
Tralfamadore.
Anyway, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? Trafalgador.
Tralfamadore. Yes.
That's where we all came from. That's our origin.
Yeah, that's the zoo they let us out of. That was our breeding. That was our petri dish.
Nice. Well, as we emerge from Tralfamadore, and you come into your own consciousness, and you realize, all that stuff down there, all that din, all that pain, all that negativity, all that objectivity, all that pointing fingers, all that nasty language, all that ugliness, all that insulting and all that other stuff, and you found a spot where you want to live above that, and you've hoisted yourself up a couple of levels, and you really don't want to be exposed to that garbage anymore. Those are the people we're hoping to meet. We know you got mud on your shoes, man. Thanks for climbing out, and sorry we messed up the stairs on our way out, but what we're here to offer you is some beautiful, simple love. The first love you want to have is with your Creator, whatever its name is, his name, her name, their name, however you want to put it, whatever the Creator spirit, whatever moves life force. What's your favorite phrase for it, Mike? What's your most comfortable? Like if you have to approach the Creator spirit, what name do you give it? What name are you comfortable with saying?
I use the Tao, but Divine Infinite Source will work.
Divine Infinite Source? Yeah. Okay, I like that too. And the Tao, of course, yes. So once you realize that that's where you want to communicate, that you don't have to go through a middleman, you don't have to write a piece of paper on a a little message on a piece of paper and shove it in a crack in a wall. Your prayers are understood even before you say them. You say them for your own comfort. You say them because you want to hear your voice saying them. You know, I often pray before meals, just something simple, something incredible, something just flatly as 7th grade lunchroom, you know, in its uniqueness and its innocence. You know, thank you for this meal before us. Let it nourish our bodies. Let us move forward. Whatever the spirit was, whatever the universe that moved us to this lunch table, especially sitting among friends, thank you. Let us glory in this moment. Something simple like that. And that thing you sent me last night, Mike, with the monks, the Tibetan monks, that can meditate themselves into a vapor.
Oh yeah. The rainbow.
The rainbow transition, is that what it was called?
Well,
rainbow.
Putting me on the spot.
Sorry.
Yeah. Go check it. I posted it on IMHO.
It's on IMHO.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
When you check that, go to our home page, imho.love. It's also on the Facebook format as well. Check those Tibetan monks who meditated. And
there's a story. There's a story about a recent monk who meditated himself after 7 days into disappearance, and the theory is that Shambhala is in the next dimension on, and that's what you can do by meditating yourself out of the physical existence and into pure energy. So.
Yeah,
that was the post.
And the guy like diminished in size.
Mm-hmm.
He was a regular sized person, and he was like a baby when he left. And then there's also a picture of like a mist, like a ghost, leaving the area as he passed. Okay, and I know stuff can be photoshopped. You don't have to inbox me on that shit. I know all about it, but. In that idea, okay, because you are pure energy, you really are, and like Mike said, we're kind of mixed with a solid. We're energy mixed with a solid. We're like this hybrid, and that's part of the other reason that word has become so big with us these days. There's hybrid everything now. There's hybrid cars. There's hybrid marijuana. There's hybrid water sources. There's all kinds of hybrid things, and mostly the hybrid that they're trying to sell you is an artificial intelligence for you to invite into your body. They want to hybridize you as a human being. So why? Control. The same reasons they lie to you on the Black Mirror in your house. They want to control you. But you know what? We were born with an incredible free will and an imagination. And I really do think a lot of us in this time, as we go on, we're feeling special. Some of us are feeling confused and hurt because we have this incredible glow inside of us, this incredible expression that wants to be released. And we're feeling stifled by all these little fear factors that run up on us. Well, what I'm telling you is, as your friend, and as a guy that really loves to see other human beings triumph, you got to overcome that, man. That thing that's telling you to move forward, that's what you want to act on. You want to act on your best and highest self, the thing that you know you can be. And you're not going to get there in 1 day, 2 weeks, a year, whatever, however long it takes you, whatever long it takes. Just know that you're not doing the wrong thing. If you change a situation in your life to better yourself, to make yourself more aware, to make yourself more transcendent, to make yourself more whole, who could possibly blame you for that? And if someone did, they didn't understand you at all. So what I'm saying, and what Mike agrees with probably 90% of the things I say, And thanks for hanging in there, buddy. I get out there sometimes. But these...
I've studied the Tao.
Yes.
You don't get out there far enough.
Okay.
But, I'll recite some more. I'll read some more before we finish tonight. So
Sure.
it may clear some things up.
Okay, go ahead.
If you like. Once again, from the same excerpt. The eyes may watch the sun rise, but how far beyond the star can the mind see? How does one measure the present? The mind and its senses have their own organic limits. Even time is a man-made construct of measurement. The mind cannot begin to measure all of space. So the mind must find peace in understanding the infinite space within itself. All that is beyond the mind is truly immeasurable and unknowable in its entirety. What one must truly know and understand is oneself. To be an integral being, then, is to be one who knows oneself. Such a being understands that just as the universe settles itself, one must settle his or her own mind. When dealing with one's mind, the universal integral being understands that when the mind is settled, one may better be able to recognize the connection that he or she has with the universe and all that exists within oneself and beyond. This is what makes an integral being a universal one.
Ah, yes, the transition from integral to universal.
Universal integral being, yes.
That is, that's where we're at, man. That's what we were talking about today.
Yep.
So, when you feel yourself lifting yourself out of the din, out of the confusion, out of the muck and the mire, and you start ascending, you go, this does feel a lot better here, and you start reaching for your higher levels, have our blessing. Just know that we're there with you. Chances are we're hanging around up there somewhere. And if someone is in your life and they don't appreciate this movement that you're trying to make, be grateful for them, because they're making you challenge yourself. They're making you ask questions whether this is a legitimate effort or whether you're just giving yourself lip service. But if it comes back to you that this is a legitimate effort and that this is really something that you're going to have a higher understanding of the world with and about, then by all means continue on. Continue forward. Take time. Take time to stand there in the woods. Take time to stand there in the ocean. Take time to stand there in the snow. Take time to realize just what a blessing everything you have is, especially those of us that live in this, climate-controlled environment, food at arm's reach, and we drive vehicles with shiny wheels. Those of us, we have amazing stories to tell. We've been dropped in on one of the most incredible time periods ever known. And you're supposed to be here. This was exactly timed, whether you got here in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. My son got here in 1999. He was just like one of the last guys out. And I'm so grateful for everybody's presence. And the people that watch this show, I can't thank you enough. Thank you for all the beautiful comments. Thank you for the endorsement and the. It's a beautiful thing, and Mike and I, we don't monetize this show, but the one thing that we really do like is the validation. It's the fact that you're letting us know that we're doing the right thing. It's such a simple thing, and it's not hard to put that forward, that everything's okay. We appreciate you. You are appreciated. You are loved. The work that you're putting out is admirable. And those simple things, the efforts that you're making are true. All those simple things, when you hear that from another person, it makes you try harder for that other person. It makes you care more for that other person. And consequently, those who don't, a deficiency grows. And that's why relationships change and people change and business deals change is because what was initially an onset good positive thing took on some neutrality, and then it took on some indifference. So when you get to the neutrality and then when you start leaking into indifference, those are troubled waters. Those are troubled waters. And that's what causes change. But you know what? It was supposed to happen. I don't know how it all is supposed to happen. I certainly am not the orchestrator of frequencies. But I do try to love and embrace the one that I'm on. Mike, we have a CE5 this Saturday night.
Yeah, CE5 coming up. If you
Are we full?
Well, we've closed.
Closed. Okay.
We're closed
At 35.
Well, no, it's less than 35, but I just close it because what happens is a lot of people come in at the very end. They join up and they think they're going to just walk right in because they just joined up. They can't. It takes a month to digest the materials, learn how to meditate, go to the links that I created, so that people can learn and come out here registered. And I was just kind of knocking around on the internet, and it was strange because I Googled something, and then up came the largest CE5 ambassador to the universe groups in the United States. Now, when I first started the meetup, I had no idea what the ambassador to the universe groups were, and it was a group that was started by Dr. Stephen Greer. And of course, once I found that out, I tried to distance myself.
Yeah, we put a space in there.
As much as possible. So we've been on our own for
those of you who don't know, he's like the most commercial guy.
Yeah. So for over 4 years now, we've been operating as a separate entity, but they still kept
rogues,
but they still kept the group as listed as the ambassador to the universe group, and I Googled it, and we are number 5 in the nation with numbers.
Number 5 in the nation?
Number 5 in the nation.
Wow.
And we're the only one that meets on a regular basis every month. So, right now we're at almost 380 members. Las Vegas at number 4 is 417. And then there are a couple other groups.
Dr. Greer has to have a large group.
Well, no, he's not listed, but there's a UFO meetup, but we're selectively a CE5 meetup, so we very may well be.
Those are like our cousins.
Yeah, well, you got
those are our cousins with firecrackers.
You got groups like SUFON, which is number 1, which is Seattle UFO Network. Which we're not a UFO network. I mean, all the people that that are part of our group, we don't talk about whether or not UFOs exist. We make contact with them, and they come. And then there's a ET Disclosure and Contact group in Colorado Springs with a lot of members.
I wish I'd have looked that up because I recently spent a fair amount of time in Colorado.
Yeah,
should have gone down.
Yeah, you wouldn't have found them doing CE5. So the only other CE5 group that's ahead of us is thank God is out in Las Vegas.
Wow,
which is in the hotbed for contact.
It's a good area.
Yeah, good sky, high elevations, and
so we're actually the number 2 CE5 group in the country.
Within 30 members of becoming, we are number 1. We're like Avis, but we try harder. Actually, we don't.
We don't try at all, and that's the problem.
That's the funny thing.
I don't even think it's a problem though, because we really have embraced.
Which is why it was such a surprise. It's like, holy cow!
But that's also why it's been such a success too, Mike. We've had people come out on their very first time here and have sightings and experiences in aerial phenomenon, UAPs, UFOs. Various types of craft, orbs, all kinds of extra dimensional stuff.
Yeah, and great spiritual loving human beings.
That was, all that stuff's fantastic, and it's all the oohs and the ows, and wow, did you see that? Oh my gosh, what was that? Da 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 da. That's all wonderful, but the person you're sitting next to or across from, you are in such a unique small group of people that have, you know, if you've gone through the protocols and you read everything that you're supposed to read, you should have a pretty good grasp of what it is we're looking for. And now when these things start to happen to you, with you in that mix, it's an experience unlike anything else on earth. It really is.
It's a life changer. You know, it's the difference between, you know, a group where people get together and say, you know, did you hear about that one where Travis Walton got abducted? What do you think about his abduction, you know? To our group, which is, I wonder if they're going to abduct us this weekend. I wonder if we're going to get taken.
Did you see that cartoon? I think Marie Dumont sent it to me. She's so funny. It says, what's worse than alien abduction? Alien rejection. Shows some guy flying through the air like he just got tossed out of a spaceship. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Lou Angelwolf. That's Mike Murburg. We're here at Area 52. This is Facebook Live tonight. imho.love. The show is also shared on YouTube, BitChute, Podbean, imho.love itself, the mothership, and Mike also shares it on his homepage. Sometimes I put a Steve Baird one over there. So there's lots and lots of ways. Please like this, share it, do whatever you like with it, send it to whomever, and we're flattered. We're flattered with that, and hopefully, if there's a little something that we talked about tonight that helped you out, then we're paid in full. It was well worth the effort of everything that we did all week or didn't do all week. But here it is, summertime. It's June in Florida. It's already hotter than two rats fucking in a wool sock.
On the beach.
On the beach at noon. With no umbrella. So we're going to be doing the CE5s. Well, we're still going to do a fire. A fire helps keep the bugs down, doesn't it?
Yeah, as long as you don't burn a lot of wood and keep the wood wet.
Small fire.
Yeah, small fire.
More smoke.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. And so we're going to have our group out this week, and we'll give you a full report next week about what happened. This has become a really, really important part of my life. It's kind of past church and faith, and it's almost become like
Rotary.
The Rotary Club, right? The Toastmasters.
I'm just kidding. Yeah. I get kicked out of. I'm no longer a Catholic, and I'm no longer a Rotarian. Years ago, because I couldn't maintain the attendance requirements. And then CE5, I've been having one of these every month for 4.5 years. You know,
it's
easy. You know,
if you're interested, it's not hard.
If it's your life, you know.
Yep.
Make sure you make it so.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I'm Lou Angelwolf, Mike Murburg. This is the imho.love show. Like us, subscribe, share, send it to friends, make a coaster out of it, whatever you want to do. We love you a bunch. Thank you for listening and tuning in. We'll be back next week with a show. And Mike and I are going to go to Idaho in July. We'll let you know all about that. And I'm going to do another truck trip. And I have an interesting new project coming up. I will tell you about next week, which is going to be really cool. Because this is cool. Everything I do is cool. It's all cool. It's all good. Thank you so much. Good job, Mike.
Oh, I thank you. I do my best.
You do your best. And it shows. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Who's there? There's David Littlejohn. How you doing, buddy? It's been a long time. Hi, Debbie. All right, kids. There's Marie. All right.
Peace, y'all.
Love you.